Guys, welcome back to an interesting video in Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Lucian supplementary guide, and we're taking a look at Lucian's top ranked loadout. So um pretty much there are a ton of champions where the top ranked loadout is not my preferred playstyle, but I'm gonna cover it anyways because it technically is a really good build as well. But of course, before we get into that build, don't forget to check out Lucian's basic guide that I will link up in the cards above for his skills, leveling, order tips, and tricks, as well as combos. But without further ado, let's jump straight into the build. So as I mentioned, often many champions have a popular build that many of the top players use. Generally, I look at the top 10 ranked players, and out of the top 10 ranked players, I'm not sure the exact number, but I think like at least 6 or 7 of them are using a build similar to this build. Of course, you have items different like here and there, but the main build portion is generally the mana immune into Charge Blade, and most people go into IE after that. So, of course, we're gonna cover why this is the case and what this build is all about. But the reason why I don't like this build personally is I don't like building mana immune on Lucian because I feel that this basically makes it such that his strong early game is kind of wasted. But the good part about this is you do scale way better into the later stages of the game, and that is, of course, going to be always a benefit in the mid to late game, just that you give up a little bit of your early game power for that. So as mentioned, we go from the mana immune first item, gives you the mana, gives you the damage on your skills and auto attacks when you get it evolved into mirror mana, but of course it does take time to evolve, and during which time you're going to be a lot weaker than if you built literally any other item. So next up we go for Slurry Charge Blade. Now this is pretty much a standard Lucian second item on basically every Lucian build, because Lucian this synergizes so well with Lucian's kit, because whenever you cast ability you get a stack that allows you to deal on-hit magic damage, and this basically incorporates Lucian's entire playstyle of casting a spell then auto-attacking to proc his passive, and at the same time you can proc Charge Blade. Aside from that, you also get good stats like the ability Haze, the crit rate, and attack speed, never hurt anyone, so it's always going to be useful. Next up, I like to go for the Gluttonous Greaves for the AD, as well as, of course, the Omni Vamp. Now, some people actually like to go for the Lethality Boots. I think that it is viable, but I just don't like it personally. I just prefer to get the Omni Vamp, for better survivability. And of course, for your enchant, you can go for Stasis, Quicksilver, or even Protobelt. Now, don't forget that Protobelt is now only 500 gold. I see most people never build Protobelt, but it's actually a really good enchant on a lot of ADCs. And then you go for IE. This basically gives you more damage, and as well as, giving you crit chance. Of course, it gives you more crit damage as well, but you only have 2 crit items here, so you're going to crit only like half the time. But of course, you can also crit on the on-hit effect of Charge Blade, and that's going to make it even stronger. And then you go for Cyril's Grudge for the Armor Pen, as well as, of course, the slow on your ultimate and your spells as well. And for the last item, you can go for Wit's End, which is going to give you, attack speed doesn't really matter so much, but it's going to give you the magic resist as well as the on-hit bonus magic damage together with, of course, the healing. Now, only go for this if you are into heavy magic damage. You can even go for it earlier, like maybe 3rd or 4th item if, you're into very, very heavy AP. Some other options you have as not just last items, but you could technically go for these like items earlier as well. It's like Bork and Bork as well as Black Cleaver. Of course, Black Cleaver gives you the tanky stats, and of course you can proc the Sunder passive a lot more easily with your double hit passive. And also Blade of the Rune King, really easy to proc as well because of your double hit passive, gives you a lot of lifesteal as well as helps you cut down tanks. Now you can of course trade these 2 items in for Wit's End. You could trade it in for Cyril's Grudge. You could skip IE and build these 2 items instead as well. Like I said, a lot of build flexibility on Lucian when it comes to this kind of build on Lucian. So for the runes, you always want to go for Kraken Slayer, of course, because with Lucian's 2-hit passive, you can proc Kraken Slayer non-stop. Brutal for the auto attack damage, Coup de Grace for the damage against low HP enemies, or you could also go for Giant Slayer if you're against tanky chaps. And of course, we go for Bloodline for the Omni Vamp. And it's between Sudden Impact and Bone Plating. Bone Plating gives you the defensive capabilities, whereas Sudden Impact gives you, of course, the 13 Armor Pen, which is going to be really useful. And the 13 Magic Pen, in fact, is also useful in conjunction with the Charge Blade passive. Now, the main reason I take this with this build is because I'm trying to compensate for the lack of power in the early game, because Lethality is a lot more useful in the early game than the late game. And since I'm already getting a weak early game item, which is Mana Immune, I'm kind of trying to compensate and get a stronger early game with Sudden Impact, which, does have kind of some success, involved. But yeah, So I go for Flash and I go for Exhaust because Lucian likes to duel 1v1, so Exhaust is a lot more useful. And of course you don't really even need Ghost because you have your E already, so I choose to go for the Exhaust. But with all that out of the way, let's jump into talking about our gameplay. Okay, so here we have the gameplay using this, of course, top rank loadout build. So of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will, of course, be sure to address them. So we're into a very tough lane. Of course, Lucian, his best support is basically Nami, so we have a really good support pairing. However, we're into a really difficult lane. We have First Strike Karma and First Strike MF, so they are playing a very kind of aggressive poke heavy lane. Of course, Karma with her mantra, Q and First Strike, and Misfortune with, of course, her double up, which is also her Q and First Strike. Is like, if we get hit by both of those with First Strike, we're gonna go from 100 to like nearly 0. Like, I think that's gonna be like 3/4 of our health or something like that. It's gonna be pretty insane kinds of damage. So of course Lucian is kind of a more so of an all-in champion. You can't really poke. You can poke, of course, with your Q through the minions, which does a decent amount of damage, but you can't really land consistent poke. So really the only thing you can do is to dash in and unleash like a full combo. So Lucian's really strong in short trades. However, of course, this is going to be very difficult if we are put low by Karma and Misfortune, because obviously if we're low, if we dash in, we put ourselves at risk of dying. And if we can't dash in, we're going to have very little to no impact in the lane at all. Obviously because we are not going to be able to do anything to them, and you're going to get a free lane just farming. This isn't all bad because Misfortune is not really the best scaler. Lucian isn't either, to be honest. But Karma and Nami do scale way better than the ADCs. So, you know, it's kind of, even if we kind of let them just farm and we don't die and we farm as well, it's not really going to be the worst scenario in the world. But either way, you know, it's kind of not really our choice. We're going to try our best anyways. Here, Volibear and Vi get into a scuffle in the river. Of course, with priority, Karma and MF rotates first, but Vi is able to dash away with her Vault Breaker, and, you know, nothing too much happens after that. Of course, the Karma and MF is pretty much always going to have the push in the lane as well. So we are pretty much just sitting back and just waiting to try to pick up some CS. It's okay to lose a couple of minions here and there, you know, to of course maintain your health. Of course, sometimes it's also better to trade your health for the minion kill, depending on if you're gonna back, if you're fruit, etc, etc. Here we can actually see on the minimap, I don't know if you guys caught it, but Volibear is actually in our jungle farming our Gromp at the moment. But you can see here he's coming up actually towards us. He's actually going back around out of the jungle. But the reason why me and Nami didn't rotate there is because Vi was in base, and Twisted Fate was also a little bit slow to rotate. So we didn't really want to commit to rotating there because, you know, even 2v1 a Volibear in early game is actually really strong. So we didn't really want to mess with the Volibear, you know, by ourselves. And of course, if we do that, Karma and MF can also rotate, and, you know, it's gonna become a 3v2, and it's gonna become probably a disastrous situation. So here we're initially gonna back, but Twisted Fate actually comes off on the roam, kind of baits us to stay in the lane, but he ends up walking back to his lane. And here we're just trying to push in the wave and get the CS before we back. So here I finally muster the courage to dash in, get the 2 last hits, and quickly scuttle my way back to the tower, and I'm able to finally back and actually get my items. So of course, logically we're gonna get the tier because we want to, of course, build up to that Manamune and start stacking the tier as soon as we can, which is exactly what we're doing. But, you know, pretty much the only, in my opinion at least, the only champion who charges tier quickly is Ezreal, just because of how easy it is to spam spells. Any like other champion or any other ADC at least, really difficult to charge Manamune. Like champions like, you know, Lucian and Varus take some time to charge up the Manamune, but Ezreal like literally charges the Manamune in no time. But regardless, here we're back in the lane. Twisted Fate's coming in with a gold card, and we're trying to catch out the Karma. Unfortunately, Karma is able to use the movement speed from her E, and is able to pretty much just run her way back to the tower, so nothing much really happens. However, this Twisted Fate roam is still really important, because what he managed to get us is he managed to get us the push out of lane. So this actually allows us to clear out the minions without the enemy team being able to respond, and allows me to back and buy my Manamune. So here, interestingly enough, Annie tries to come in for a lane gang, but the bush is actually warded, so we actually can see Annie in the bush. Annie cancels her recall, for reasons unknown, maybe by accident or I'm not sure what's going on. But here she ends up recalling again, and it's becoming a party at the top lane because Volibear is in the topside river as well. Vi is going towards the topside river even though she knows Volibear is there. And here Annie has once again cancelled her recall and is, you know, trying to catch us out. But obviously we see her there, she gets hit by a bubble, and here Vi comes in, combo with the ultimate from the Nami. Vi ults in onto MF. I'm gonna flash forward to finish the kill. Volibear comes in with the ult, stuns me up, and you know, I'm gonna be going down in a moment's time. Annie ends up picking up a double kill through just staying there, you know, for one eternity. But I guess it does end up paying off for her. Now Volibear flashes on top of the Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate finds himself in trouble because obviously he can't 1v1 or even 2v1 the Volibear, and he has to run for the hills. And it just becomes a pretty disastrous situation overall. We only really picked up one kill, and I think we lost like 2 kills or something like that. Kill score at the moment is 1:4, my team versus the enemy team, so it's not looking too good. Nami has to bat because she doesn't have any mana, and the dragon is being started up by the enemy team. Now Vi, in my opinion, wisely goes to the Herald and tries to trade Herald instead. So here, nothing much I can do at the dragon situation, so you don't want to waste your time and don't want to put yourself in danger by face checking the dragon. You want to just get the minions and quickly just run away before the enemy team can rotate from the dragon. Vi and Akali are trying to pick up the Herald, and they do get the Herald before Volibear reaches, which is pretty much the ideal situation for us, you know, at this point. And here, of course, we're gonna let the minion wave just kind of push in, and we're just gonna clear it up. Volibear obviously is now at the bottom side of the map, so we don't have to be too afraid of him. It's just a 2v2, but obviously, you know, the 2v2 of the enemy team is really, really strong in the earlier stages of the game, which is, of course, like now. Now, thankfully, Miss Fortune decided to actually also go for Manamune, so she's gonna basically have the same trade-off as me, where she's gonna have a weaker early game but a better late game. So here I'm just trying to get a little bit of poke onto the two of them. Here you can see I'm launching a full ultimate into the face of the Karma, but nothing's happening, and instead we're gonna switch targets to the MF and pick up the kill on her. But this is when I checked and saw that the Karma has bought the armor boots, and honestly, defensive boots are so strong in this game. It's highly underrated, especially on damaged champions. But just look at how little damage my entire ultimate did to her. She ate the whole ultimate to the face and still didn't die, and was in fact still had like I think like a quarter or so of health, which is completely ridiculous in my opinion. Like, you do reduce the damage by like, I think it's like 10 or 12%, but honestly I think that that's ridiculous. But anyways, we do get the kill on MF. Karma is forced to back anyways, and we are able to actually secure nearly all the tower plates. So we finally, you know, patiently just waiting on the tower for our opportunity. We finally spot the opportunity where Karma already popped the ulti, and we're able to dash on top of Karma as well as the MF with a really nice series of catches from Nami's wave and Nami's bubble, and we're able to pick up the kill on MF and able to take control of the lane. Now of course, off of that we're gonna have to recall, and MF actually gets a decent amount of damage onto our tower. Here we're gonna just basically chase her down, ult her down with the flash as well. Volibear basically ends up baiting his MF to overextend, because when she overextended, Volibear did not come to help. He does, however, end up getting a 3-man ulti, gets stunned, and is getting blasted down, but he's really tanky, and I can't really finish him off. We know Karma is really tanky as well, and we're all really low, so we're going to be happy with the MF kill, and we're going to actually just run straight back all the way away and just go ahead and base. So really good series of fights there. And we find ourselves now even in kill score with the enemy team, and slightly up on goal actually. And another beautiful thing, or it's not really a beautiful thing, but another interesting fact is that the enemy team's kills are mostly concentrated on Annie. So we pretty much, as of now, we pretty much mainly need to look out for an Annie ultimate. Of course, Volibear getting on top of us is still not going to be very good, and if we get hit by a MF ult in CC, it's also going to be death. But mainly we need to be careful of Annie. So Annie is the main threat of the enemy team, whereas on our side, most of the kills are actually on me. So obviously I'm still slowly scaling up, halfway towards our charge blade already. But obviously Manamune is still yet to be evolved, so we don't really have that strength yet. Now here, we overextend a little bit for the tower, and unfortunately Nami's gonna get caught. She doesn't have a dash, doesn't have a flash, and no way out here. I'm just pretty much just pelting them with my ultimate as she's getting killed. And here I actually end up almost dying, but I managed to bait them in for long enough for Twisted Fate to actually come in off of the Destiny Gate, and he is able to actually trade a kill back. So overall, you know, he gets the shutdown onto Annie, and in trade for our Nami. So in the end, that's a good trade in my book. And Twisted Fate's getting really fed as well. Pretty much the same goal as me, despite only having that 1 kill and being 3 kills behind. He's been farming really well, of course, with the help of his passive. It gives him bonus gold as well. So here, now that we've cleared top lane, we're actually gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and rotate down, pick up the Rit buff share, and while we're at it, just pick up the Raptors as well. Now here, I actually have Slurry Charge Blade on base, so I'm gonna actually back for the Slurry Charge Blade and then rotate directly to the dragon, because it is about to spawn in around 10 seconds. So here we're just gonna go ahead, not wait, but get ready for the team fight with our team, and our whole team is basically there. Of course, Akali is currently dead, and Twisted Fate decided to recall, and his ult is about to come back up. So now, from the good situation, it's now become a little bit risky. So it's now only the 3 of us. We're gonna pull out the dragon, and we're gonna see if we can burst down the dragon. Twisted Fate comes in with the ultimate. I'm not quite sure why, but Volibear ends up getting the steal onto the dragon, which is pretty much not what we wanted. But he also gets the steal, he also gets the kill onto the Vi, and we pretty much end up with nothing. So we basically just gave a free leash to the Volibear. Really unfortunate. As you can see, we mostly made it out intact except for Vi. So if she got the dragon, it actually would have been pretty good in terms of us just simply escaping. Now here, no idea what Annie and Nessus are doing. They both are really fed on their team, 3-1 and 5-1, but for some reason they decide to overextend and stay for so long on the bot side. So here we're just going to burst down the Annie. Nessus, of course, is a lot of a bigger issue. We're going to exhaust him to prevent him from killing anyone on our team. He eats our entire ultimate, as you guys can see. Still takes a couple more shots to finally get the kill. He doesn't even have any armor, by the way, guys. He has like a Fimbulwinter, he has a Spirit Visage, he has a Merc Treads, no armor there, but he is still really, really tanky. When he starts actually getting armor, he's gonna be really, really big of a problem for us. Now, the Mana Mune from me and MF have both finally evolved, so we both have the Mirror Mana at the moment, and we finally have hit that kind of mid-game power spike where you have the Mirror Mana, and you're gonna get, of course, the bonus damage from the Mirror Mana. Of course, Mana Mune is one of the most goal efficient items in the game. Of course, the trade-off for that goal efficiency is the fact that you need a lot of time to actually charge it up. So that's a trade-off, but overall it ends up being a really cheap item. So here we're gonna go to a safe area, and we're gonna just recall. We're not gonna recall at the greedy spot at the enemy side of the map. And here we're gonna actually complete our boot enchant. In this case, we're actually gonna pick up the Proto Belt. As I mentioned, Proto Belt is a really, really underrated item, and don't forget that a lot of ADCs that want more mobility, ADCs like Lucian, like Jin, does really well with Proto Belt, and shouldn't be overlooked. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the time where Proto Belt was actually meta on ADCs when it was 500 gold, and then it got nerfed to 800 gold, and it completely fell out of the meta. But it's pretty much 500 gold again, so it's kind of the same situation, just that most people don't realize. Now here, the Nasus and the Volibear are just so tanky. Just look at this. We're kiting back, and like I'm just blasting away at them, blasting and blasting. Here I Proto Belt forward to go for the burst on MF. Not enough damage, unfortunately. MF gets the kill onto Nami. I'm gonna have to flash out, but the Wither from the Nasus causes me to be unable to escape, and I do end up dying to the Volibear and giving him the shutdown. Honestly, not too much I could have done there aside from maybe not commit to the MF. Maybe that was a mistake for me because I didn't get the burst onto the MF. And somehow, despite not doing too well initially, MF now suddenly picked up 3 kills, and she now has more gold than me. So now she's also a really big issue with that first strike burst together with the items like Collector, the Mana Mune, and like looks like she's going for Seralda's. Could be a dangerous situation if you get caught by her E ultimate. Looks really, really scary. I mean, honestly, the whole enemy team is kind of an issue at the moment, except perhaps the Karma. Like, Annie and MF can easily kill us, and Volibear and Nasus are way too tanky to take down, and if we get into like a 1v1 with them, it's going to be really easy for them to kill us as well. Here we just pop the ult to wave clear. That is a pretty okay use of your ultimate, if there isn't any kind of fight coming. My ulti should be ready by the time Dragon comes up, so it's fine to just use it here just purely for the wave clear. Sometimes the time you save just popping your ulti is going to be worth it because you're likely to not use your ulti for other reasons anyway until it comes to those team fights at the objectives. So no harm, no foul here. And here I'm just trying to go around the map and trying to find gold to take, because we really want to try to get ourselves to our IE if we can before the dragon, but obviously if we can't, just as soon as possible in general. Here just helping Vi out a little bit to take the buff. And we're just going to grab that because Lucian, of course, very mana hungry champion, loves to have blue buff as well. Here Twisted Fate gets a nice catch onto MF. I try to finish her off with the ulti, but it doesn't really work. Volibear engages on us, I exhaust him, and pretty much unleashing my full combo on him. You can see Vi is also CCing him down, and finally, like, we 4v1 managed to actually kill Volibear. Akali, meanwhile, she picks up a double kill, and TP from Twisted Fate, or the ult from Twisted Fate, just to walk a couple of steps forward, I guess. But here we're actually pinging Dragon and Baron both at the same time. Now, my opinion was that it was probably a little bit better to take the Dragon first before the Baron, because we want to deny triple Dragon of the enemy team, and then we can rotate to the Baron and secure that. But technically, it's also really good to deny them the Baron as well. So here, Annie tries to contest, and we are able to, of course, just prevent her from really doing anything and just burst her down. Now we're gonna rotate directly over to the Dragon, and we're gonna want to, of course, secure this Dragon to deny the soul to the enemy team. Now, the main issue here is that the enemy Volibear is already up, and Vi doesn't even have Smite. You can see her Smite is actually on cooldown, so this looks like it's gonna be a disaster. Somehow Volibear goes in and smites like 500 health too early. MF manages to get her ult onto me, but I am able to actually Proto Belt out, and because of the Proto Belt, I end up surviving, so huge Proto Belt value there. And here we're just going to quickly use the Baron recall to just quickly get back to base and finally complete our IE. So we managed to complete the heist, managed to get both the Baron as well as the Dragon, which is pretty much all we could ever ask for, and we're now in a pretty good position in the game. Now everyone's alive, we have the Baron, and with the Baron we can, of course, try to push down the enemy towers and such, and of course we're going to let Vi have the red buff so we can pick up the buff share. So here, ideally, we want our team to split up into multiple lanes and try to create multiple points of pressure. Now here, me and Twisted Fate are trying to run down the Nasus, but Volibear in turn is trying to run us down. Now you can see here that we've attracted the attention of both of these champs, and we ideally want our team to use this opportunity to push down other lanes. So here ends up that my entire team ends up collapsing on the both of them, and we are able to get the kill onto the Nasus. I exhaust the Volibear, and me and Vi are trying to run the Volibear down, but he's like left at really low HP. I'm trying to ult him down. Unfortunately, that does not happen, and in the meanwhile, the rest of my team ends up dying to, I believe, the MF, or I have no idea who they died to, but because I was busy in the fight. But in the meantime, my rest of the team died, and we have run out of Baron, so we're pretty much now just a minute away from Elder. So here I'm trying to like push in. Here Annie goes for the Proto Belt. I was expecting an ult there. Turns out she didn't even have ult, but I'm able to dash away. Misfortune gets the Serelda slow onto me, but Annie doesn't have ult because she would have used it if she had. So I pretty much knew I was safe at this point. Dashing over the wall and going for the recall. Of course, we want to get items before Elder Dragon. And even though we can't actually complete Serelda's now, getting the last Whisper is still really big. Because as you can see, the Volibear as well as the Nasus really, really tanky. Nasus now has armor as well, so that's also going to be an issue. So getting that armor pen from the last Whisper, even though it's not even Serelda's, is going to be really, really important. So here Elder Dragon obviously coming out. Vi honestly backs a little bit too late because obviously she should be ready for the Elder. Whole enemy team is on the other side, so it looks like it's going to be a 5v5. Twisted Fate, very questionable ulti into God knows where, but here ends up our whole team is together, so is Darius. Here I'm going in with the ulti, unfortunately mainly onto the Nasus, who's kind of not really the target you want. Fortunately, Misfortune pretty much whiffs her whole ulti. I get hit by the Annie ult with relatively little follow-up. I'm dashing forward, trying to get the kills. Akali's actually able to get 2 kills. Volibear is running away together with the Nasus as well as the Karma. But honestly, the 2 big damage threats on the enemy team are gone, so we should be able to easily clean up the rest of these tanky guys because they don't have any damage deals to help them. We finish off the Karma, and here I'm just dashing away, exhausting the Nasus to prevent him from killing me, actually not getting out of the Volibear ulti, but we are able to clean up the fight, and with all the enemies dead, 20-second death timers, we should be able to actually end the game at this point. So here I'm just running straight down mid, no need to go for Elder Dragon. All we want to do is to end the game. Don't need Elder Dragon if you can just get the base, right? So don't waste your time with the Elder Dragon. Here we're going to go in. 4 seconds on Annie and MF, but we are able to end the game before then. So as usual guys, of course I'm going to leave you guys with the stats. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.